welcome to TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. And on this day, it is time to talk about the big one. It is time to talk about the Champions League, and in particular, whether Barcelona do have what it takes that when football returns, when the Champions League is set to return in the month of August, can Barcelona win it? And most importantly, have they got the mentality to win it? Are they strong enough there to stand up, to be counted, and deliver the trophy that we all desperately want? And we are also going to be discussing a certain change to this year's competition that could potentially play into Barcelona's hands. It's all coming up in today's video, based around your questions. Thanks for that. Because if we do kick off with that mentality question, because we've all been wondering for a long time, when are Barcelona going to step it up mentally? When are they as players going to take that responsibility on the field and stand up to the challenge and be mentally strong? Now, when Quique Setién replaced Ernesto Valverde, many of us were hoping there that not only he would change the style of Barcelona, but also that he would change the mentality, that he would somehow there get this group of players back on the right track. And is that happening? Has anything changed since Setién arrived? Because I think it's safe to say that under Ernesto Valverde, I think certainly that was one of our biggest downfalls, in our biggest failings. You'd look at the mentality, and that really for us was when it fell down. And I think in terms of Setién, I think he's brought a number of things since he arrived at the club. We've spoken about that in a number of detail over the past few weeks. Of course he's tried to change things, but I think in all honesty, it is too early yet to be able to tell whether Setién has actually changed the player's mentality. Because let's be real here, he's only been at Barcelona for 12 games in total, and when football was actually forced into a break, he hadn't even been at the club for 2 full months. So I think during his short spell so far, we've seen some good signs, we've seen some good games, some good performances, but we've also seen as well some question marks along the way. It's not all been rosy, it's not all been absolutely perfect, and of course we're all very much aware, just like Messi said a few days ago, we will have to improve to win the Champions League. And I think ultimately as well, it was going to take a lot more than a few weeks of training, a few weeks of changes to actually there stamp out the bad habits that all of these players fell into under the 2.5 years under Valverde. That's a long time there to be doing the wrong things, to be going in the wrong direction for a coach for over 2 years. It takes time there to stamp that out of your game. What I would like to say though, with regard to this year's Champions League, with regard there to any sign of change we've seen from the players in terms of mentality, I would look there in particular to the biggest sign I've seen of a change, and that was in the first leg against Napoli and the round of 16 stage. Because you look at it here on paper, it's a very tough away stadium to go to. It's an away Champions League game where historically and statistically over the past 2 seasons, Barcelona have not travelled well in the Champions League. And also Napoli, under Gattuso, they were showing a lot more urgency, a lot more positivity, and they were on a really good run of form coming into that game. And also, to go with that too, their style of play really doesn't match up well with what Barcelona are trying to do. They sit in a low block, certainly there, they'll try and crowd their own penalty area, they'll try and sit very deep, deny you all the space in the world, and it wasn't an easy game. It really wasn't. You add to that there as well, we had injury problems, Suarez, Dembele, Alba, Roberto, and all these things here, they're stacking up on top of each other, and these could all be used as excuses if something goes wrong. And then, of course, after dominating the opening period of the game, 30 minutes in, we concede the first goal. We go 1-0 down after a counter-attack play from Napoli, and suddenly then, you're thinking, how are the players going to respond? Suddenly then you're wondering, what sort of mentality are we going to see now from the 11 men that were out on the field? Now, usually, think back there under Valverde, in a Champions League game like this, away from home, if you conceded a goal like that, with all those other things as well that I've mentioned, it would have prompted there the players, I feel, starting to doubt themselves. Out there on the field, you would have seen a genuine wobble, and they would have started inside to panic, which would have seen us then perhaps not only concede more goals in a game like that, but also in panicking, we would have denied ourselves the away goal that we desperately needed because our play would have become erratic. But this is what I mean. Despite conceding first, despite their having injury problems, despite their playing a team who didn't really suit our style of play, there was no erratic passing. There was no panic in our play. We were calm. We were patient. And we were waiting there for that one single lapse from Napoli. That one moment there where we could lure them out of that organised shape, where we could lure them into a defensive mistake. And of course, that moment, it did come. It did arrive there. We did manage to put one pass, which cut through Napoli. Semedo's cutback found Griezmann, and we got ourselves what will be, I'm sure of it, an absolutely vital away goal. And that's what you get. That is what you get there for standing tall, believing in yourselves, believing in your style of play, staying true to that, because in the biggest of moments, you will have setbacks. In the biggest of games, there will be mistakes. They happen. These players, they are human. But it's actually how you react to them, which will determine your success as a team. And I just felt there, in a crucial game in our season, it was arguably the biggest test we'd had, and against Napoli, the players did stand up. And of course that then does bring us swiftly onto the question of not only have we improved, have we shown there signs of change, not only that, but have we improved enough to win the Champions League once the competition there is expected to resume in the month of August? And I think it's a big question. And I think it's a question that we've all asked ourselves a number of times throughout the season. Are we good enough to win the Champions League this season? And of course, given the current break, going back into things now, I would say our chances of winning have improved. Before the break, I would have said doubtful. Before the break, it was looking unlikely. Given the squad that we had, given the difficulties we were facing, it would have been an uphill task. But now, I would certainly be more optimistic for two very distinctive reasons. Reason number one, we've already spoken about how the break will certainly benefit Barcelona, especially in the way that, of course, when we return, we will have so many more options available to us and available there to Quique Setién. The likes of Luis Suarez will be back, will be fully fit, and hopefully even Ousmane Dembele, come August, he could be ready to play his part in the Champions League, and that'll be huge, because you think back there, like I mentioned earlier, the injuries that we had, Setién was getting to the point in his squad where he was barely able to fill a matchday squad because of our injuries, and after the break, it'll be much improved for us. But I'd also like to highlight here the really key element, which is reason number two, and that is all surrounding empty stadiums. Because I think here it's a very interesting road to go down, because the Champions League, like I say, is reportedly going to return in August, and when it does, every single game, it's guaranteed, it'll be behind closed doors with no fans at all allowed inside stadiums. Which, when you're looking at the short term, admittedly, that does put us at a disadvantage against Napoli, given the fact we're pretty much relying there on coming back to the Camp Nou, a full Camp Nou, full of atmosphere, full of passion from the fans, to give us that edge in the second leg at home against Napoli. And it is sad for us that Napoli, of course, had the advantage of their fans in the first leg. That really helped them, and we won't get that in the second leg. But look, that's the hand that we're dealt, we've got to get on with it. But looking ahead there from the round of 16, providing that we do finish the job, providing that we use that away goal and actually get over the line against Napoli behind closed doors in that return leg, could Barcelona then, as the tournament goes on, benefit from those empty stadiums? Because you all know where I'm going with this. You could all see here the pattern that's developing. Because over the past few seasons, we've said it already, the problem under Valverde was mentally in the heads of the Barcelona players. We've stumbled away in the Champions League, and that has been our biggest downfall. Quite simply, we couldn't handle the pressure. We crumbled in those away grounds, in those really intimidating atmospheres. But with no fans, there's no atmosphere. There is ultimately nowhere near as much pressure. You've all seen the Bundesliga. You've all seen the way the football has returned. It is at times like a training session. It's you against the opposition, and that's it. Nothing else outside of that. And I think there, given what we said there about the previous failures, about the question of our mentality, ideally, we'd like to put those ghosts to bed. Ideally, we'd like to turn up to full stadiums and perform anyway. But I'm just saying, given the circumstances, given the fact there will be no fans, there will effectively there be no outright away games. That, for me, it will help Barcelona. It will be something completely different for us. And of course, given our situation, we will take every single help we can get. And I think we can use it. So that there, guys, is my thoughts right now on the Champions League. And number one, have Barcelona improved mentally for you? Do you feel as though under Setién we are seeing there some signs of improvement, some signs that maybe we have turned the corner as a team, mentally at least? That's the way we're talking right now. And number two, can we win this year's Champions League? It is going to come back and it's going to be different. It's not going to be the same Champions League that we were seeing before the break in terms of the atmosphere, in terms of the high-pressured situations. It is going to be very different surroundings. But do you believe that Barcelona have what it takes? Let me know and explain your thoughts in the comments down below. And of course, I'll be back soon with more videos. You can count on that. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.